Wow, thank you. Sarah, thank you for inviting me. Governor White, General Early, thank you guys for allowing me to sit on the panel with you. In case you all didn't know, my name is Anthony Graves, and I'm a death row exoneree number 138. There are 12 more like me that was in Texas. I was 26 years old when I was arrested and charged with capital murder. 2 years later, I was found guilty and sentenced to death by lethal injection. I turned 45 when I was exonerated, 18 and a half years. And I witnessed some of the worst inhumanity that any man can witness. And I have to live with it every day. Conditions on death row were horrible. I seen guys hang themselves, guys slit their wrists, guys overdosing on their medication, guys dropping their pills. Not so much because they was guilty of what they was being charged with, but the conditions. The conditions were unbearable. When I first got out, I had to make this transition back into society. They took me from solitary confinement and put me right on the streets. No transition. Okay. I was just lucky that for some reason I was sane. Not so many of them come out like that. At least not like I did. This capital punishment that we're talking about, I don't care how many rules we make up, how close to getting it right we think we are. We're never, ever going to stop killing innocent people as long as we have the death penalty. There's just no way. I mean, this here, I say that if this had been in place before when I had went to trial, I would not have probably went to death row. Okay? Because if they would have practiced these rules, I wouldn't have went. But I don't always think that it is just the word on paper that we got wrong. It is the people we're entrusting that we're getting it wrong. We're their bosses. And we're hiring the wrong people. So as their boss, we need to start hiring people that really cares about seeking justice. In Texas, we have this motto, tough on crime. I think it just changed the whole landscape of our criminal justice system because it gave them a green light to take shortcuts to get a conviction. I know this. I walked into a courtroom full of hope because in my years of learning in school, I was told that we had the best criminal justice system in the world. So for the first 2 years that they had me incarcerated, just holding me, I kept begging them, please take me to trial. Because from what I know, that all I need to do is get to trial, let the truth come out, and I go home. Unfortunately, that's just not the way it works. That's not the way it works because we're tough on crime in Texas. Okay? We have the green light to do what we want to do to get a conviction. And then we have an appeal court that will rubber stamp it for us. Okay? That's the truth. That's my truth. This is not in here. This is my truth. I watched our system fall from top to bottom. From the initial arrest to my conviction, to my exoneration, to going back to jail, well, the reversal, going back to jail for 4.5 more years before I was finally exonerated. I watched the system try to cover up their mistake. They kept coming to me after the case was reversed, asking me to take a deal. Would he take a life sentence? What would he take? And I had to tell them, you kill me or you free me, because I'm not going to compromise the truth. And therefore, I stayed for a little over 4 more years in solitary confinement in the local jail, trying to break my will. But see, I'm here today because I'm a voice for the voiceless. I watched those men. I read their cases. It's horrible. Guys are down there simply because they couldn't afford justice. That's it. The worst of the worst is not there. It is those who could not afford justice. Unfortunately, a lot of them look like me. It's because I couldn't afford justice. I came from the projects. Okay? I believed in the law. I was a law-abiding citizen, but I didn't have the resources. So when they came and knocked on my door and told me that they was taking me downtown to be interrogated, I cooperated 110%. The chief ranger got on the witness stand and told them this man cooperated with us 110%. They still denied me a bond. They had no evidence on me. The judge still said bail denied. They said, well, is there anything that this man, that y'all have on this man that connects him to the case? The chief ranger said no. The judge said denied bail. I seen the system fall from top to bottom. Prosecutor accountability is my strong thing. It is my pet peeve because I think they are the ones that drive our system. I'm not out to bash prosecutors. I'm for good prosecutors. I just want to weed out the bad ones so that we can start seeking justice again, because that's what it's about. I'm not here to say, hey, we need to free everybody on death row, because I met guys that I wouldn't want to live in my neighborhood. I am here to say that we need to make this system fair. Fair for all. If we're going to practice the death penalty, know who we execute. Most of us don't even know their names until they're in the paper. But we've been supporting the whole notion of executing it because we have the death penalty. You have to get involved. You cannot do this from the sideline anymore. Too much is at stake. I watch little kids come down there, 17 years old. There was a young guy named Napoleon Beasley that came to death row. His crime was when he was 16. He killed a federal judge's dad. First time in his life he ever done something wrong that we know of. But this kid was a valedictorian. He was great in sports. And he made one mistake for 5 minutes in his life. And I watched this kid come down there at the age of 18, 17. So remorseful. He spent his time writing letters to young kids in reformatory schools, sharing his story with them, pleading with them not to go down the wrong path. And it wasn't good enough for Texas. We still executed this young kid whose mind hadn't even matured yet, wasn't even fully developed. But we took one act out of his 17 years of living and we murdered him. And that's what I call it. Let's get to the heart of it. We are murdering people. Execution is just a nice way of saying it. We are murdering innocent people, people who are mentally ill, people whose cases didn't even deserve a death penalty but couldn't afford the resources. Those are people we're killing. And they look like me. And they look like Latinos. Those are the people we're killing. Well, had we had this in place, the makeup would look totally different. There wouldn't be a lot of people on death row. It just simply would not be, because this would have been a stopgap. We have to take this serious. If we're really talking about being fair and equal, then we have to take this serious. Because I am telling you, there are guys down there who are counting on me to let you know that they're innocent back there. Not all of them, but there are a few. And if I don't get it across to you guys, to let you know that this book is needed, it should be adopted in our legal system, because if not, those guys who are counting on me are going to say I let them down, because they're going to be executed. And it's going to be on our hands. Because as I said when I first came up, we are the bosses. We elect. We select. We have to take our role more serious. We just cannot be putting somebody in office because they have a name that sounds good when their policies do not match ours. 18 and a half years, over 350 executions I witnessed. Guys I was able to talk to 12 hours before they were executed. Looked me in my face with tears in their eyes. This is a grown man telling me, I didn't do this. I didn't do this. But he was executed. He was executed anyway. This one guy I'm talking about, his case was reversed. He had a reversal for 2 years. This man was ready to go home. He was happy. He felt that justice had finally prevailed. His name was Charles Bard. They took back his reversal and executed this man. And on his way to the gurney, he was crying, I didn't do this. That's what we have going on in our system. A system without this. I had 3 kids when this happened to me. One of my sons had sickle cell anemia. And every time we would have to take him to the hospital for a blood transfusion, I would be there. I would spend nights with him at the hospital. So when they convicted me, my son testified, I need my daddy. My daddy is my strength. It fell on deaf ears. My son now is legally blind. He had a stroke while I was away, fighting for my life. So he had short-term memory loss. And I should have been there with him. I could never get that back. And that's what happens when we get it wrong. We take things that no one can ever give back. I am saying, help us. Help those down there that are innocent. And adopt this. Adopt this. Make sure that these things get into our system so that we can start protecting innocent lives. Thank you.